In this lesson, I'm going to try to show you what chord tone playing on the guitar looks like. This is the second video on chord tones, so if this is the first time you're watching this, you'll definitely want to go and watch the video that's called How to Play Traditional Chords in G Form before you get to this. So here we go. We are going to be in the key of G, and the number one chord in the key of G. Remember, in all my lessons, everything's in the number system so that keys are not keys, but note names are irrelevant because we're using theory to basically apply this for all keys. So here we go. The number one chord in the key of G looks like that. It's a G major chord. Now, what chord tones are the individual notes or tones that make up a chord. So any one of these notes would be a chord tone of the chord G major. That's all that it means. Let me go through the rest of the chords in the key of G. Here's the 4 chord. Here's the 5 chord. Here's a 6 chord, 2 chord, 3 chord, flat 7 chord. Those are the keys. Those are the chords in the key of G. Now here, I want to go back and show you something that's really important, because in order to be able to play using chord tones, what you're going to have to learn to do is to visualize the chords on the fretboard. To visualize it. So I'm going to take you through a series of steps to help you do this. So the first thing you need to know is that these open notes are actually notes that are part of the chord. So that's what all the chord tones in the G or the one chord, the key of G, look like. Now, if I were to change to the key of A, which is what we're going to do so that we get all the chords off the open position and into kind of all fretted notes, it would look like this. So that's the one chord in the key of A. Let me show you one in the key of G. Looks like this. Let me show you in the key of A. Looks like that. Back and forth. G, A. Did you notice everything just shifted up 2 frets? Because the difference between G and A is 2 half steps. Each fret would be a half step. And so there's G, there's A. Okay, now here's the 4 chord in G. Let me show you these notes that are open. If I were to move to key of A, it shifts up 2 frets. Here's 5. Let's look at the notes that aren't marked, but because they're open. So in A, all the notes just shift up 2 frets. And this is going to be the same for every example that I just give you. Here's 6. Those are the notes that are open. In the key of A, they all shift up. Here's the 2 chord, open, shifted up to the key of A. Number 3 chord. Instead of that bar, I want to show you what notes are actually, these are the chord tones of 3 in the key of G. Well, in the key of A, they just shift up 2 frets like that. Flat 7, there they are. Key of A, they just shift up like that. Okay, now, so in the key of A, here are all my numbered chords, one by one. Here's a 1 chord, here's the 4 chord, here's the 5 chord, 6, 2, 3, flat 7. And everything was built from the open shapes, but now I'm moving it up so you can start to visualize this anywhere on the fretboard. Okay. Now, most songs have 4, 5 chords in them. The most common of the type of chords that are in a progression are going to be 1, 5, 6, 4. And in fact, the progression 1, 5, 6, 4 is a very common progression that songs are, built from. So what I wanted to do is give you a visual example of what playing 1, 5, 6, 4 would look like using chord tones and these numbered chord shapes. So here we go. In the key of A, 1 would look like that, 5 would look like that, 6 looks like that, and there's 4. Now, when you're just looking at it as a full, all the chords changing, it doesn't really, you can't really catch the concept. And so what I want to do is I want to kind of bring it down to only 4 of the strings. So here we go. Here's the 1 chord. Here's the 5 chord, 6 chord, 4 chord. Now let me bring it down to 3 strings. Here's the 1, and notice, just to help you focus a little bit, I'm going to start emphasizing certain notes, certain chord tones, so that you can see what's going on. So just 3 strings, that's the 1, that's the 5, that's the 6, and that's the 4. Now for this last example, I'm going to show you just 1 string and what's going to be happening. And this is the beginning of how you can start applying chord tones, especially in like modern worship, where like for swells and stuff like that, instead of playing full on chords, you can swell just individual notes as the chords change, so that there's no guessing involved on whether or not the note you play is going to fit. By music theory, it will fit every time. So here we go. There's no guessing involved. When you're looking at 1 string in the key of A, this is what it can look like. So 1 right there, 5 right there, just dropped 1 fret, 6, it dropped down there, 4 stayed there. As you can see, these other chord tones that you're not playing underneath. Let's keep going. 1 down to that B string, 5, now it's here down to this G string, 6 down to there, 4 there, and back to 1. Let me just show you what you did. I'll do it in reverse. Watch this. 4, 6, 5, 1, 4, 6, 5, 1. Here we go. 1, 5, 6, 4, 1, 5, 6, 4, 1. You were basically able to create a descending single note line using chord tones, and it will be perfect every time because you're not guessing. You're not playing necessarily a scale, even though these are scale tones as well. But this is a great example of how you can apply chord tone to your playing so that it's going to be perfect. There's no guessing.